Welcome back, everybody, to the Brew Sportscast. I'm Scar. This is Raymond, and we're filming episode 18. It's the Week 5 preview, the fantasy portion. So this week, like always, we're going to be doing our Trust Bust Thrust for fantasy football. We're going to review Week 4 first and see how we did, which this week I'm not looking forward to because I did horribly. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be doing Week 5 if y'all still trust us after Week 4. Let you know which picks to make. So reviewing Week 4. So we'll start with, I guess, quarterbacks. Yep. So my trust, I had Trevor Lawrence against Philly.
How many points did
he put up 5.66 fantasy points. My bust, I got this right. I had Tua against Cincy. He put up 2.4 points.
Poor guy.
Yeah. And then my thrust, Carson Wentz against Dallas, and he put up 7.3 points. So for my quarterbacks, unfortunately, I only got 1 out of 3 right.
Warning,
bullshit
alert.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, for your quarterbacks.
My trust was Lamar Jackson against Buffalo, who put up 13 points. That's not solid for a quarterback.
No.
My bust was Russell Wilson against the Raiders, and he put up 27 points. That's clearly not a bust. And my thrust was Kirk Cousins, who put up 12 points against New Orleans.
Nope. So you missed all 3.
I missed all 3.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, that was. Yep.
All right. Running backs. So my trust, I had James Robinson against Philly. Thanks to coaching not using him, he only got 2.9 points. My bust, I had Miles Sanders versus Jax. He got 29.6 points. Yeah, he put up more points than Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
And my thrust was Dameon Pierce versus Chargers. I luckily got that one right. He got 25.9 points. So unfortunately for the running backs, once again, I only got 1 out of the 3 right.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
I mean, we're sitting here getting 1 out of 3 right every position. We might have to listen to other people. My running backs. My trust was Nicholas Chubb against Atlanta with 20 points. My bust, Clyde Edwards-Helaire against Tampa for 22 points. That's not a bust. And my thrust was Tony Pollard against Washington, had 1.8 points.
Wow.
So I got 1 out of the 3 right there.
Yep.
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
Yeah,
definitely level 5.
You might want to stay away from those Dallas running backs because every time you put them on a trust or a bust or whatever, they do the opposite.
Yep.
All right, moving on to receivers. All right, so my trust was Justin Jefferson, 31 points versus New Orleans.
Starting looking like the best wide receiver in the league.
All right, my bust, I had Brandon Cooks against the Chargers, and he put up 18.7.
That's not a bust.
And then my thrust, who Sam tried to trade me this dude for Jalen Hurts. Luckily, I didn't accept that trade. Rashad Bateman, and he put up 4.7 points.
So you got 1 right?
Once again, I got 1 out of 3 right.
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horseshit.
That is, yep. All right. So my wide receivers, my trust last week was Justin Jefferson, 31 points.
Okay.
My bust was Devontae Smith against Jax, which put up 4 points. And
so I was right on that.
What?
Because I said that was going to be a bust too.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't write it down, did you?
No, I'm just saying when I was talking to you and Brandon and stuff,
that's right.
I said the Eagles, Devontae Smith is going to be a bust.
And my thrust was somebody who didn't even play.
Amon
St. Brown. Yeah, he put up 0, obviously, because he didn't play. So I want to say 2 out of the 3 right there.
Oh, you actually did. I thought you missed all categories.
I thought I did, but now that I look at it, I didn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to tight ends.
No bullshit there.
My trust, I had Kyle Pitts versus Cleveland, and he put up 3.5 points.
Why?
I think that's solid for a tight end.
For him, I mean, dang.
He put up 11 the week before.
Oh, okay.
He was starting to show signs of Mariota going to him.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bust was Dallas Goedert against Jacksonville. He put up 12.2. He actually put up 2 more points than he did the week before.
You know, we say 10 points for a solid tight end.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to look into that and like talk about it and see if we need to up that.
Well, no, because if you think about it, like a lot of the tight ends don't get 10 points. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, when we're saying they're
they
a
get
bust,
8 to 9.
when we're saying they're a bust, doesn't mean that, like, I don't know. Like,
I think a bust is anywhere between 6 points and below.
not for a tight end, I would say less
No?
than 10.
Okay. For a tight end, yeah, that's true.
I don't
Okay.
know.
All right.
Maybe like 8 or 9 is not completely a bust. I don't know. We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Now, we also said that a bust could just mean that you're saying they're not going to do nearly as good as they normally.
Yeah.
So, but
Who's your thrust?
my thrust is
Who was your
my
thrust?
thrust was Tyler Conklin for the Jets versus Pittsburgh, and he put up 8.2. So I marked that as a no good.
Okay. So you got one right?
I got 0 right on
Oh.
tight ends.
Warning, bullshit alert.
All right. Well, my tight ends, my trust last week was Darren Waller against Denver, who put up 5.4 points. One of these days, he's going to break 10. My bust was Dawson Knox for Buffalo against Baltimore. He put up 7 points. So if my bust has more than my trust, that's
But I mean, I would consider 7 points a bust.
yeah. And my thrust was Evan Ingram against Philly, who is 2.6 points. That is not a thrust.
Nice.
No, so
you got what, one?
I don't know.
No, you got.
I got all
you
three
got
wrong.
You got 1 out of 3 because your bust, I would say, is correct.
Okay.
So 1 out of 3, you still lost.
That was bullshit.
Yeah, that was all right.
All right.
On to this week.
Week 5, and I think before next episode, we'll relook at the numbers for each position and discuss like what we really do consider a bust or whatever.
All right.
And then if it is a case, like say I'm throwing Jalen Hurts in as a bust,
Mm-hmm.
I need to, like, when I on that episode when I do it, I need to make it clear that I'm putting him as a bust, saying he's not going to do as many points as normal.
Yeah.
So he's not getting 30 points, but he may get like 15 to 18
Right.
points.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just have to clarify that if we are going to do that.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So going into week 5, here's our picks for this week. So we'll start with quarterback, of course. So my trust for quarterback is Russell Wilson versus Indy.
Okay.
I think he got 27.4 points last week. You know that because you had him as a bust.
Yeah.
And I think he will continue to improve on that. I don't know how often he'll put up those numbers, but I think at least he'll put up enough to trust him at quarterback this week versus Indy, who has shown that they can be scored on. My bust this week, which this may be one of those things where, like I said, you look at and say he's not going to do as good as he normally does, but he's not a complete bust.
Okay.
I have Kyler Murray versus Philly.
Okay.
He got 22.8 points last week. I don't think he's going to reach 20.
That's against Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to reach 20
Okay.
against Philly's defense.
Okay.
My thrust is Geno Smith versus New Orleans. He put up 31.7. New Orleans has a good defense, and they can pressure quarterbacks. They can suffocate quarterbacks, but I think he's good enough that he'll at least put up good, decent quarterback numbers.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. On to my quarterbacks. My trust this week will be Josh Allen. He's playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, sorry, Dad, sucks. They just lost to the Jets. Josh Allen's going to have a big game and bounce back kind of from that Baltimore game. It was low scoring for Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So my bust this week for quarterbacks will be Carson Wentz against Tennessee. He had a horrible game, I believe, against Dallas, and he's going to continue to have a horrible game against Tennessee this week. My thrust, I'm giving him another shot after this rough game.
He almost was mine.
Yeah. My thrust this week will be Trevor Lawrence against Houston. He's going to bounce back, and I'm going to say he throws at least 3 touchdowns.
All right. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
All right, running backs. My trust this week is Breece Hall versus Miami. So he put up 15.8 points last week. I wrote a little side note that Mixon put up 17 points against Miami, which was one of his best so far this
Okay.
season. So they
We'll see.
proven they can be exploited, and I think Brees is starting to get more touches and more of the share.
Okay.
Yep. My bust is James Conner versus Philly. He put up 10.7 points last week.
Dang, your quarterback bust and your running back bust is playing Philly.
Yep. So he put up 10.7 points last week, and look what Philly just did. Now James Robinson didn't
He
get
didn't touch
as
the
many
ball, yeah.
carries, but
Yeah.
they look what they just did to James Robinson and ETN.
Yeah.
So I think James Conner is not gonna hit that 10-point.
Right.
My thrust is Melvin Gordon versus Indy.
Oh, this one's gonna be good.
He put up negative 1.2 points last week.
What do you do? Fumble and not play again?
So, but he's gonna be the clear starter at least for the most part coming into Indy, and I think he's good enough that I think when given the role, he's gonna step up, and I think he'll perform against Indy.
All right.
And this may be a really risky one.
My trust this week at running back is Nicholas Chubb. Playing the Chargers. You saw what we did to the Chargers. You saw what Damian Pierce did to the Chargers. Nicholas Chubb's going for 100 and maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns.
100 fantasy points.
I don't know if I even have him on my team, but no, he's going for 100 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. My bust is Melvin Gordon against the Colts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see who's right there.
He's going to continue to fumble.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you saying that same thing about Trevor?
No. But my thrust is Rashad Penny against New Orleans.
Yeah.
He had a big game the other day.
He's on my team, and I had him on my freaking bench.
Yeah. Do you know how many points he put up by chance? You don't have to look if you don't know.
I want to say it was like 28 or something.
Oh, yep. See, and he's playing New Orleans, so like you said earlier, they have a decent defense, but I think he's going to be a thrustworthy running back.
Okay. I'd agree with you there. All right, wide receivers. So my trust this week is Christian Kirk versus Houston. Don't let last week fool you. He was out there dropping passes. It was a damn monsoon. We've seen what kind of level play he can do. I think him and Trevor are going to light it up this next week versus Houston. He got, even with that bad game, he still put up 8 points against Philly. So I see him probably breaking, I think he's going to break 15 this week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. That'd be nice.
All right, my bust, which I've listed him as a bust before, and it bit me in the ass, so hopefully it doesn't this time. DJ Moore versus San Fran. He got 12.1 points last week. San Fran is a tough defense, and I think they are going to keep him under 10 fantasy points.
Wow.
Yep. And my thrust is Chris Olave versus Seattle. He got 16.7 points last week. I think he's on the uptrend, and I think he needs to be thrust into the action. And if he continues that, he might be a solid trust pretty soon.
Yeah, he's right now. I believe he is Michael Thomas playing.
I do not
Well,
know.
I mean, the other day it looked like he was the number 1 target.
Yeah.
So, but you know how those backup quarterbacks are. Andy Dalton's the backup. They always favor the backups.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my wide receivers, my trust is Stephon Diggs against Pittsburgh. Like my quarterback trust, Josh Allen. Both of them get right back on track and score 30, 40 points. You know, my bust. I noticed this last week in the Cincy game.
Ooh,
He wasn't targeted but one time by Teddy Bridgewater. My bust is Jalen Waddle against the Jets.
So are you saying it's not the level of competition that they're going against because the Jets are not defensively what they were.
I'm saying quarterback.
You're saying because of the new quarterback change,
Yes.
Bridgewater does not favor him.
Yes.
Okay.
He will go to Tyreek Hill and whoever number 14 is.
I forget that guy's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starts with P. Last name started with P. I don't know. But yeah, Jalen Waddle's my bust. And my thrust, don't even know this guy's first name, but it's the wide receiver from Green Bay, Dubs.
Oh, I say Dubes, but
Dubes.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't even know his first name. Dubes from Green Bay
No, I
is
don't.
my thrust for the week against the Giants.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. All right. Moving on to tight ends. So my trust this week is Pat. I don't know how to say his last name. Pat Fryermuth
Fryermuth.
versus Buffalo. Last week he put up 15.5, and I think he's going to do well this week, even though Buffalo has a tough defense.
Half their defense is hurt.
Yeah. So my bust this week is George Kittle versus Carolina. He put up 4.4 points last week. He ruined a prop bet for me, and um, I don't know. He's one of those guys where like he was my boy last season and the season before, but until he actually proves it this season, I'm not going to trust him. I don't care who they're playing.
Yeah.
And then my thrust is Robert Tonyan versus the Giants. He put up 10.2 points last week. I think Giants are definitely a better matchup, and I see him being
Solid.
Yep.
Solid. All right. My tight ends are my trust is Travis Kelce against Vegas. He put up a solid amount of points this past week against Tampa Bay's defense. He's going to have a bigger, not bigger or better, probably just as good game this week against the Raiders. My bust is George Kittle.
okay.
You know, I haven't seen much of him this year yet, so until then, he's my bust at tight end. My thrust is Robert Tonyan against the Giants. Yep. I feel like he's going to have a solid game against the Giants.
So you hear that? If we both agreed on do not start Kittle and start
Tonyan, yes.
All right.
Yep. Anything else you want to note for fantasy or anything like that? Or
No, as always,
good luck.
Look forward to it. Good luck out there. I know this past week was a horrible week for me in all my fantasy leagues. I mean, I won a couple of them, but still, it was just bad. Like,
You talk about winning one of them. I want to give a shout out to my wife real quick. In one of our leagues, she's in first place at 4-0.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I think you're 1-3.
beginner's luck.
It's her second year. But,
Not in that league.
In both leagues.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well,
But,
second year luck.
shout out to her. She's 4-0. You're 1-3 at the bottom. She's at the top. So I'm happy for her.
Yep.
She just beat me last week.
Go Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
All Is that the league that she took Derek Carr in the first round, knowing that she had Herbert as a keeper?
No, I want to say it's the other league.
Okay.
She's
All right.
4-0 in,
All
and I'm
right.
3-1, and you're 1-3. Just want to make that note. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you heard the man. Good luck this week, and we look forward to giving y'all our week 6 trust, bust, and thrusts. That's it for this episode. I'm Raymond.
I'm Scar. This is the Brew Dude Sportscast.
Until next time.
Keep it brewing.